The next which we are going to look at is with regards to the rights of the husband and wife. Now the Sharia demands that the husband treats his wife with fairness and affection at all times. And when the boy and girl, when the man and woman, when they get married, the wife has 3 irrevocable rights over the husband to the following 3 things. Meaning that irrespective of the situation of the husband, irrespective of the financial situation of the husband, the wife is liable for these 3 rights. Now they are, number 1, food, that the wife is liable for food, that the husband has to give his wife food, has to give his wife money, maintenance, so that she can buy food or there is food for her on the table. The second irrevocable right is with regards to clothing, that the husband has to give his wife adequate and good clothing so that she can wear. And the third irrevocable right which Sharia demands on the husband to give to his wife is with regards to housing, that it doesn't mean that the wife, lives on the streets. The husband has to provide his wife with adequate living accommodation when she is married to this particular person. Now if we have a look at the course book, I've just mentioned some other rights or other things which the husband should take care of or should take heed whilst in a marriage with his wife. The first 2 are quite similar. They are good behavior with the wife, and number 2, be tolerant and lenient with your wife. Now a key recipe for a happy marriage is one has to understand that no one is perfect. The husband is not perfect, the wife is not perfect. Only the Anbiya alayhi salatu salam, only Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and the prophets before him, they were infallible, they were sinless, they couldn't commit any sins. But besides them, all of us, you and I, we are all sinners. And we are not perfect, and we are liable to make mistakes. So similarly, don't expect your wife to be the perfect person. And similarly, all the sisters, don't expect your husband to be the perfect person that however you thought your wife is, or that dream girl you wanted to get married to, don't assume your wife to be like that. There will be some good advantages of her, there will be some good habits of her, but at the same time there will be something which you would not like of your wife. Similarly, Muslim sisters, that there will be some good advantages, some good benefits, some good habits and conducts of your husband, but at the same time there will be something which you would not like. And the key is that you concentrate and you look at the good points of your partner. That a Muslim husband looks at the good things of his wife and overlooks the bad habits and the bad conduct. And if the habit or the conduct is such that he doesn't like or he finds difficulty with, then it is advisable and preferable that the husband speaks to his wife regarding it. Like, for example, explains to her that this is a particular habit or conduct which I don't like, and then tries his best to rectify that habit and rectify that conduct. However, he, i.e. the husband, should not look down upon his wife because of that particular conduct or because of that particular habit. So the key is that it is important that the husband, he treats his wife good, he treats his wife properly, lives with her in the best way, and similarly at the same time he is tolerant with her, he is lenient with her, and he's not allowed to do anything which contradicts or violates the teachings of the Sharia. The third right or the third guideline which is mentioned in the course book is to lend a hand to your wife in household tasks. Now, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the most busiest person in the whole world. We, in this day and age, we think to ourselves that we are very busy, that we work in the mornings, we work in the afternoons, some of us even work in the evenings as well, and we think to ourselves that we're very busy and we can't give our wives a hand in household chores, in household tasks. But when we look at the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was the most busiest person in the whole world. He was the Amir, he was the ruler of the believers. He had so many responsibilities. He was doing da'wah, he was propagating every day. He was preparing armies, he was preparing battles to go out and fight. He had so many rights of the wives of his wives to fulfill. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had so many things to do. People would come to him every day to ask questions, to ask things about Islam. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would answer it. But at the same time, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in his spare time, whenever there was time, he would help his wife out in household chores and he would help his wife out in household tasks. And this is substantiated in a hadith from Sahih al-Bukhari, narrated by Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha, that Aswad asked Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha that how was the routine of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam at home? That how was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam at home? So Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha replied by saying that he was like an ordinary person, that he would sweep his own home, his own house, he would stitch his own clothes, he would mend his own clothes, he would mend his own sandals, he would water the camels, meaning that he would take his camels out and he would water them himself. He would milk his own goats. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also had servants, so he would help and assist his servants at work. He would eat with them. And then if there was anything needed from the market, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would go himself and he would get the necessities and he would fetch the necessities himself. So that's how simple Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was. So therefore, it's a very important guideline and a very important advice for the brothers that wherever possible, I'm not saying that you give up your work and start doing all the household chores and tasks, but wherever possible, then, assist your wife if it means sometimes here and there, hoovering the house, or if it means here and there just sweeping the kitchen floor, all these kind of things, to do it, you will get great reward for that, because this was a sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did it himself, and if you do it with the intention of helping and assisting your wife, and you're doing it with the intention because you want to follow a sunnah and a practice of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then verily inshallah you will get rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another right of the wife, or another guideline which a husband should take heed of, is that the husband should not be away from his wife for a long time. And it is mentioned in Fatah Rahimiyya, written by Mufti Abdul Rahim Lajpuri Rahmatullah alayh, that he, i.e. the husband, cannot be away for more than 4 months from his wife, without her permission, without her consent. Now this 4-month ruling was actually deduced during Sayyiduna Umar bin Khattab radhiyallahu anhu's khilafah and during his time as a Khalif of Islam. As all of you know, that Sayyiduna Umar bin Khattab radhiyallahu anhu, during his time, every night he would go around Medina Munawwara. He would make a round of Medina Munawwara and he will look for people who are in need or who may be in distress, and him being the Amirul Mu'mineen would help those people. So once Sayyidina Umar bin Khattab radhiyallahu anhu was making his round, when he heard a woman singing, and she was saying, "The night is long, darkness all around me. I am sleepless, for I have no friend to play with. By Allah, had there been no fear of him, this cot would be shaking from side to side." Now upon investigation, Sayyiduna Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu found out that the woman's husband had been on a military expedition for a long time. That the husband had been away on battle or some other things for a long time. And because of this, the woman was sad and she was distressed and she was crying out for her husband. Sayyiduna Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu asked his daughter, Hazrat Hafsa, who was the widow at that time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that how long can a woman be separated, or can a woman be without a husband? So she replied by saying 4 months. After which Sayyidina Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu issued a fatwa, a decree, a judgment that no man can be away from his wife for a period of more than 4 months, and from then he would not send, Sayyidina Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu would not send a married man away for some expedition, away for some battles, or away for some work for the Islamic State for more than 4 months. Now from this we understand that it is like a haqq of the wife, a right of the wife, that the husband isn't away from his wife for a long period of time. Even though, the wife may agree to a husband going to another country to study or to work for more than 4 months. But even then the husband, they should realize that their wives have a haqq and have a right over them. And I know many relatives, many friends, many cousins who have left their young wives, their young children in Bangladesh, in Pakistan, and they have come to this country and they're working for years and years, and they haven't seen their young wives or their young children for many, many years. Even though the wives or the children may have said to their father that, look, we are poor here, we're living in poverty, then go to another country and work. But at the same time, right, it should be understood that your children have a right over you. You need to be there for your children. Your wife has a right over you, and you need to be there for your wife. So from this, the masla or the ruling is that the husband, without her permission, without her consent, shouldn't be away from his wife for more than 4 months. The next right of the wife is that the husband is not allowed to punish or beat or be abusive to his wife. Now some men think that hitting their wives, abusing their wives, swearing at their wives, that is a sign of their strength. But very briefly or very blatantly, that is not the sign of a strong person. That is not a sign of courage. That in fact shows everyone that this person or this husband is in fact a coward, is in fact a weak person, that he cannot pick a fight with a man. So what he does is that he starts abusing and he starts hitting and slapping and abusing his wife. That shows that this person is a weak person and he is a coward. And there are many hadiths which indicate towards the impermissibility of hitting or abusing your wife. And there is a hadith of Sahih al-Bukhari in which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that it surely is very wrong that one of you beats up his wife like a slave. That the same way you hit a slave, then to beat your wife up like that, then it is very wrong. And then he goes and fulfills his needs in the night. And those who hit their wives, they are in fact doing a zulm. They are in fact doing a form of oppression. And it comes in a hadith of Sahih al-Muslim where the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that zulmu zulumatun yawm al-qiyamah, the oppression is darkness on the day of judgment. So from this we can clearly understand that punishment and beating your wife is something which is impermissible and unlawful in Islam. The next right which we are going to mention is with regards to obeying the husband, that it is important and it is imperative that the wife obeys her husband. When the husband tells his wife to do something, as long as the command is something which is permissible in Islam, something which is mubah or something which is recommended in Islam, then the wife will have to fulfill it. If, for example, the husband tells his wife, or go and steal, or go and backbite about someone, or go and do this, or go and do that, things which violate the teachings of Sharia, then that would not be allowed. That would not be permissible. However, and the reason why it won't be permissible is because of a hadith in which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "La ta'ata li makhluqin fi ma'siyat al-khaliq," that there is no obedience in the creation, in the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I mentioned this many times in the tafsir class with regards to whether a woman is allowed to cut her hair or not. In particular, if the husband encourages or is telling his wife to cut her hair, so would that be allowed or not? We looked at this particular masla in the tafsir class. So, in recommended things, in permissible things, in permissible acts, then the wife should obey her husband. However, the husband, he should not take advantage of this particular right or this particular haqq and, all the time use this particular right against her. Like, for example, he teaches, he is treating his wife like a slave, that he tells his wife, do this and do that, and he says to his wife that, look, you have to obey me and so on, so I want you to do this, I want you to do that, I want you to go there, I want you to go there, and so on. And to use this particular right to harm your wife, then that is something which is unlawful and that is something which is not allowed. Why? Because, as all of you know, that to cause harm or to give taklif to someone, that is something which is unlawful and impermissible in Islam. So the conclusion is that as long as the husband is telling his wife to do something which is mubah, something which is permissible, something which is recommended, then for the wife to do that, for the wife to fulfill that particular right or command is necessary. If the husband is encouraging or is telling his wife to do something which is unlawful and haram, then that would not be allowed. The wife shouldn't fulfill the command of the husband, and obviously if she doesn't, she would not be held sinful. And at the same time, it should also be borne in mind that the husband should not take advantage of this right and demand his wife to do everything to the extent that he is giving her undue harm, undue pain, because giving another Muslim brother or another Muslim sister undue harm and undue pain is something which is unlawful and something which is impermissible in Islam.